Good day, good morning, good evening. This is YieldMaxMindset coming to you with RoundHill Week 2 distribution for the weekly pairs. All right, let's get to it. All right, so there's always other investment funds you can invest in, like Rec Shares, Defiance ETF, Neil's Funds, Curve Invest, RoundHill Investment, Granite Shares, Pro Shares, YieldMax ETF, and Bitwise. And there may be some others. They are. All right, let's get to it. So these prices will vary each month, each week. If you should happen to own some of the above ETF, here's a roundabout payout you should receive. Below is what you should get paid out for owning the number of shares multiplied by the price per shares. And always remember the distribution amount will always reduce the stock price the next day. All right, let's go. All right, first up is AAPW, closed at 42.27, previously closed at 42.99, previously paid out 27 cents, currently paying out 24 cents. Had you invested $2,149.50 into that position, that would have gotten you 50 shares, and 50 shares would have gotten you a payment of $12. All right, next we got AMDW. Closed at 54.66, previously closed at 53.83, previously paid out 76 cents, currently paying out 69 cents. All right. So had you invested $5,383 into this position, that would have gotten you 100 shares. 100 shares would have gotten you a payment of $69.09. Next, we have ARMW. Closed at 36.24, previously closed at 38.32, previously paid out 51 cents, currently paying out 50 cents. All right. So had you invested $19,160 into that position, that would have gotten you 500 shares. 500 shares would have gotten you a payment of $249.93. Next, we got AMZW. Closed at 43.39, previously closed at 43.57, previously paid out 40 cents, currently paying out 32 cents. Had you invested 43,570 into that position, that would have gotten you 1,000 shares. 1,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $316.36. Next, we got AVGW. Closed at 59.56, previously closed at 55.93, previously paid out 77 cents, currently paying out 57 cents. So, had you invested 55,930 into that position, that would have gotten you 1,000 shares, and 1,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $570.83. Next, we got BABW 43.29, previously closed at 44.33, previously paid out 47 cents, currently paying out 42 cents. All right, so had you invested $88,660 into that position, that would have gotten you 2,000 shares, and 2,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $840.38. Next, we got BRKW. Closed at 44.92, previously closed at 45.47, previously paid out 26 cents, currently paying out 13 cents. All right. So had you invested 90,940 into that position, that would have gotten you 2,000 shares. 2,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $263.08. Next, we got COIW 25.66, previously closed at 26.60, previously paid out 43 cents, currently paying out 36 cents. All right, so had you invested $1,330 into that position, why that would have gotten you 50 shares, and 50 shares would have gotten you a payment of $18.19. All right, next we got COSW 44.59, previously closed at 45.53. Previously paid out 29 cents, currently paying out 21 cents. So had you invested $4,553 into that position, it would have gotten you 100 shares. 100 shares would have gotten you a payment of $20.49. Next, we got GDXW 59.88, previously closed at 56.35, previously paid out 65 cents, currently paying out 45 cents. All right. So had you invested $5,635 into that position, that would have gotten you 100 shares, and 100 shares would have gotten you a payment of $44.50. Next, we got GLDW $53.70. Previously closed at $52.91. Previously paid out 29 cents. Currently paying out 23 cents. Had you invested $26,455 into that position, that would have gotten you 500 shares. 500 shares would have gotten you a payment of $113.18. Next, we got GOOW 72.64. Previously closed at $74.95. Previously paid out 75 cents, currently paying out 64 cents. All right, so had you invested $7,495, that would have gotten you 100 shares, and 100 shares would have gotten you a payment of $64.03. Next, we got HOOW 55.65. Previously closed at 64.07. Previously paid out $1. Currently paying out $1.01. Pennies are extinct, right? All right, so had you invested $64,070 into that position, it would have gotten you 1,000 shares, and 1,000 shares would have gotten you $1,010.83. Next, we got METW 36.24. Previously closed at 37.22. Previously paid out 35 cents. Currently paying out, guess what? 35 cents. So, had you invested $74,440 into that position, that would have gotten you 2,000 shares, and 2,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $708.66. Next, we got MSFW. $40.10. Previously closed at $40.13. Previously paid out 28 cents. Currently paying out 22 cents. That was my basketball uniform number, 22. That's right. All right, so had you invested $80,240 into that position, that would have gotten you 2,000 shares, and 2,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $438.12. Next, we got MSTW 1301. Previously closed at 13.55. Previously paid out 28 cents. Currently paying out 24 cents. All right, so had you invested 67,750 into that position, why that would have gotten you 5,000 shares, and 5,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $1,209.54. Next, we got NFLW 2818. Previously closed at 31.77. Previously paid out 31 cents. Currently paying out 17 cents. All right, so had you invested $158,850 into that position, that would have gotten you 5,000 shares, and 5,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $839.31. Next, we got NVDW. That's right. 47.70. Previously closed at 42.74. Previously paid out 39 cents, currently paying out 47 cents. All right, so had you invested $213,700 into that position, that would have gotten you 5,000 shares, and 5,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $2,355.21. Next, we've got PLTW 4180. Previously closed at 39.71. Previously paid out 56 cents, currently paying out 60 cents. All right. So had you invested $397,100 into that position, that would have gotten you 10,000 shares, and 10,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $6,034.88. Next, we got TSLW 34.59. Previously paid out 35.81. Previously paid out 46 cents. Currently paying out 47 cents. All right. So had you invested $71,620 into that position, that would have gotten you 2,000 shares, and 2,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $948.03. Next, we got TSYW 48.42. Previously closed at 48.89. Previously paid out 15 cents. Currently paying out 9 cents. All right. So had you invested $2,444.50, that would have gotten you the big 5-0. The big 5-0 would have gotten you a payment of $4.69. All right. Next, we got UBEW 42.38. Previously closed at 46.63. Previously paid out 43 cents. Currently paying out 44 cents. All right. So had you invested $466,300 into that position, that would have gotten you 10,000 shares, and 10,000 shares would have gotten you a payment of $4,386.62. Next, we got a new position here. UNHW of RoundHill. All right. Previously closed at 51.22 and closed yesterday at 52.70. All right. So had you invested $2,561 into that position, 50 shares and 50 shares would have gotten you a payment of $21.93. All right, that concludes our RoundHill weekly pairs. This is YieldMax Mindset bringing to you hopefully some informative information. Please leave a comment if you have a comment and like the video. Out. Have a great day and let's enjoy your weekend.